Well, hello everybody again, and welcome back to another video. Something totally different. You'll know my channel, I like to mix it all up. And this is something totally alien to myself as well. And it's something I've been, I don't know if the right word would be restoring or just sorting faults out on it. Anyway, recently I purchased, well, I'll give you a closer look at it in a minute, this sewing machine from eBay. Very cheap, it was under £50. It's a very good make. It's a Husqvarna, for those outdoorsy people and gardeners. Yes, it's the same Husqvarna from Sweden that make the chainsaws and all that kind of equipment as well. I think in Sweden they even make motorbikes and all sorts. I think this dates from the early to the mid 1960s, this particular model. It's held in very high regard. It'll sew supposedly very thick material, and I'll come on to the reason why I should suddenly buy a sewing machine in a few moments, but I thought you might like to see it, and I'll get the camera off the mount and give you a closer look at it now. So there we go. I'm in quite a confined room, so it's quite difficult to get back far enough, but I hope you can see that's better than before. As I say, this particular model is a Viking Husqvarna, and it's the 19e special. And as I say, I think it dates from probably somewhere in the early to mid 1960s. It's in reasonable condition. We've lost a little bit of paint there. I think at some point in its life it got damp maybe, and we've lost a little bit of the paint there, but to be honest, I'm not worried about that. The rest of it is in very good condition. It had obviously hadn't been used for many years. I've virtually taken the whole thing to pieces and then lubricated it with machine oil very lightly, wiped it all down, left it a few days, and just kept turning the mechanism to sort of get it going, and it's freed up really well. It was really stiff. I'm not going to say it was totally seized up, because it wasn't, but I think it hadn't been oiled in probably 30 or 40 years. So why should I suddenly buy a sewing machine? Well, for those that come and look at my channel will appreciate I've got two boats, and as I keep saying, my boating has to be done on a really tight budget. The Sealine boat, the canopy on that is quite reasonable. I'm not going to say it's brilliant, but it's quite reasonable. But I do need some new plastic windows particularly in the back of the canopy, and probably the side curtains as well. And I had a look at that boat, and the canopy comes to bits in quite small sections. It breaks down. It's got zippers and velcro, and I had a quote to send the canopy away to have some new vinyl plastic windows put in last summer. There's a slight crack already on the back when I noticed, and I was staggered of how much, and I can understand it. It's labour, it's got to be done, somebody's got to do it, you've got to post it, you've got to do all that kerfuffling about, and it was quite a lot of money in the end to do this. And I started looking at some YouTubes of various people, and it didn't seem beyond the bounds of possibility of, particularly the back and side curtain windows, replacing it myself. But obviously I wanted a machine that was quite heavy duty, that would sew through like the acrylic canvas and the vinyl. And I'd seen a guy in America use one of these, and he sewed through really thick leather, a leather strap, and it was, he said it's no problem. And so I certainly think it would do the job. And as I say, I've been, for want of a better word, restoring this back to working condition. By the way, I have no experience of sewing apart from I went to one of those schools in the 70s where they thought it was trendy for a year for boys to do needlework and cooking, and the girls did metalwork and woodwork. But the item I made, it was a cravat of all things, you know, a necktie around a cravat for the neck. And every week mine seemed to get shorter and shorter as I had to unpick it and restitch it and cut bits off it. And I think by the time I was done, it was you know, a very, very small cravat. So I have no real experience of sewing, but it's another skill one can learn. You know, I don't intend to take the canopy off next week and think I can sew a new bit of vinyl in. No way. You know, it's going to take many hours to get used to the machine, to get it set up right. But I just thought you might like to have a look at this and see what I've been doing with it. And it needs the bobbing. This bit comes off. This bit, I think that unlocks out of there, and that slides off like so. That's just an extra workstation sort of thing if you want bigger things. And then the bobbin is in there, and we can pull that out. And it needs the bobbin rewinding with cotton. So there we go. Well, I'm not sure how well you'll see, but we've got the bobbin out of the bobbin case now, and I think this is why the machine is called an automatic, because you just push that on like so. Then you take your, don't want to get in your way and get the hands. You take your cotton down, and then through. Then this does need a bit of a jiggling about a bit, I think. And then you wind it round that way a few times, and once you've wound it round a few times, you should be able to. It's not winding very even at the moment, and I think there is an adjustment in the handbook. Very easy just to pull it across and pull it back, and there we go. We've now got enough, and as soon as you pull this off, it's very clever machine really, that disengages a clutch or re-engages it, and it stops the needle coming up and down. So as soon as you put that on, that is, I think it's why it's called the special, the Husqvarna 19e special, because it's so easy to wind the bobbin. You know, you just push that on and it stops the needle moving. So as I say, once we've got our bobbin wound, we cut that off and we don't need that anymore. We can then put our cloth, or our thread I should say, back in the bobbin holder, and it pulls through that way, and then back up to the top and through the little bit at the top there. And there again, I'm not sure how well you'll see this, but then we, once we've got that in, we put our bobbin facing that way in the holder there, like so, and that sort of locks up into there. That's it. You know when you've got it right, it pushes right back. That bit of cotton just, I think I'm doing this right, it just goes there, and then with our hand we bring the needle down. We want to pull that, we want to just get our bit of cotton there and hold that in our hand like so, and just pull that a little bit tighter, and when we want to come in, and there we go. We have our green thread fantastically hooked up there. You see that? There's our green thread, which is our obviously bottom stitch has come through, and we've got our top cotton there, so we pull those through, and that's it. That's how easy it is to thread and thread the bobbin and put the bobbin in. It's even for a total novice like me, got to grasp that really quite quickly. I quite like this plate, as if you're working, if you're doing any sewing. And so we've got to have a bit of material, scrap material in, and we'll just sort of kind of run almost a little hem down there. We've got our foot down, and in reverse, which is good. That button, you press that in and it will reverse stitch, and obviously the button's got to be out. And then what you should do, I believe, is just reverse stitch over a little bit there at the end, and make sure our needle's up, which it is. Cut our cotton off, put our cotton back through the machine, and I think you can see for a first setup, I'm pretty pleased with how that's stitching. I think there's some way to go still, but as I say, it's early days. If we knock that down a little bit, say to 2, and go back to 0, so we're on a straight stitch again there. Wind our needle up, put it through, cut our cotton off. I think there again, you can see that's a pretty reasonable stitch. We've got the green that side, and the grey that side now. That's a pretty reasonable stitch. It's a beautiful small stitch down there. As I say, I think I've got some to learn, read the tension and all this. Something I don't sometimes think I'll get that quite right, but obviously it's just a matter of practice, and of course, practicing sewing straight, of course, is the real, I believe, art to it. And this machine has, what I like also about this machine, for say, if you were trying to, attempt to stitch, say, a new bit of vinyl window in a canopy, obviously you can have a lot of kerfuffle of material around here. You don't want to be sewing particularly quickly, so you can, sorry, I've knocked the camera. You can pull this gear out here where the bobbin winder is, and then it's got a very reduced gear, and it will sew absolutely beautifully and slowly, So there we go, that's the Viking Husqvarna sewing machine, and we'll see how I get on. I'll keep you posted throughout the summer. I do intend to certainly have a go at sewing some new plastic windows in the boat canopy eventually, after much more practice, and the narrowboat could do with some new curtains. So watch this space. I might have a go and see what we can do. I think once you get the hang of it, and it's not being afraid of it, and as I say, just getting it set up right, and it does really stitch beautifully. Now it's all cleaned up, and as I say, I've thoroughly oiled it, and then obviously let it soak. And first of all, the first job I did was get all the dust and the old bits of cotton and all the gunk out the bottom of it, and it was well clogged up. And once I'd given it a really good clean and got it oiled up and let it stand for a few days, it has really freed up, beautifully, and seems to stitch very well. We'll keep you posted how I get on. As I say, so far altogether I've spent, I think, £54 on it to get it to this state. And I'll keep you posted how that configures I'm way off what, you know, it was going to have the boat canopy sent away and repaired, which is not easy because you've got to rig something temporary up while you send it away, which kind of worried me more. I don't want the boat being left without a canopy on, even for 2 or 3 days, and this firm couldn't guarantee how long it would take. We don't have anybody locally in Northampton that does canopy repairs, sadly. They're miles away. So yeah, watch this space, and that's the Husqvarna 19e sewing machine from Sweden, and the green machine we'll call it, and I'll let you know how I progress on with it. And obviously I've got to sit here and do loads and loads of practice on it, and but yeah, come back and I'll give you an update. Thanks for watching. Please do subscribe, please do comment if you've got one, if you use one of these, if you've sewn thick material with yours, you know, let me know, and would love to hear from you. So yeah, but do subscribe, do come back, and I'll say bye bye.